Rain poured relentlessly over the streets of Chicago that evening, turning the city into a blur of headlights and reflections. Mark Reynolds clutched his briefcase tightly, balancing his exhausted 7-year-old son, Luke, on his lap as they navigated the crowded bus. Life had been unrelenting for Mark ever since his wife passed away 3 years ago. He was now a single dad, juggling multiple jobs, struggling to pay bills, and trying desperately to give Luke even a semblance of a normal childhood. Every bone in his body ached from exhaustion, but he refused to show weakness. He had to be strong, had to be the shield for his little boy. The bus came to a screeching halt, and a weary sigh escaped his lips as he tried to find a spot where Luke could sit safely. The bus was packed, and there was only one empty seat left near the back. Mark's heart lifted briefly, but just as he approached, an older woman in worn shoes stepped into view, shivering from the cold rain. Without a second thought, Mark offered his seat to her, insisting she take it while he stayed standing with Luke on his hip. His arms ached, his legs trembled, but he couldn't bear the thought of anyone suffering more than he was at that moment. It was a small gesture, yet in the grand scheme of his exhausted life, it felt monumental. If you believe in kindness and the power of second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. As the bus jolted forward, Mark scanned the passengers, silently wishing for a break from the relentless grind of life. That's when he noticed a man seated near the front, impeccably dressed, exuding an air of quiet authority. The man watched him with curiosity, almost as if he recognized the weight Mark carried on his shoulders. The billionaire, later known to the public as Jonathan Carlyle, had a reputation for philanthropy, but he was selective and private, rarely interacting directly with the people his fortune could change. Yet, something in Mark's exhausted but steadfast demeanor had caught his eye. Days turned into weeks, and Mark tried to shake off the encounter, dismissing it as a fleeting moment of human connection. Life continued to batter him with late-night shifts, overdue bills, and Luke's constant needs. But then, an unexpected letter arrived at their small apartment in downtown Chicago. The envelope was elegant, embossed with a seal Mark didn't recognize. Inside was an invitation to meet Mr. Carlyle at his office, a promise of help, and words that hinted at belief in the power of perseverance and compassion. Mark was bewildered, unsure if this was real or some cruel joke. Yet, a flicker of hope ignited in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. The day he walked into Carlyle's sleek office, Mark was tense, unsure of what to expect. He had grown used to doors closing on him, opportunities slipping through his fingers, and the constant whisper of doubt in his mind. Yet Jonathan Carlyle greeted him warmly, with eyes that seemed to see everything, the exhaustion, the struggle, the unwavering love for his son. They spoke at length, and Carlyle revealed he had been observing acts of kindness in ordinary people, searching for someone who embodied integrity without seeking reward. Mark's simple, selfless gesture on that rainy bus had been enough to capture his attention. The billionaire didn't just offer money, he offered a chance for Mark to reclaim his life. He helped Mark start a small business, one he could run alongside his parenting duties, ensuring stability and a future for Luke. The transformation was gradual but profound. Mark went from barely scraping by to managing a thriving family-owned cafe, employing people from his community, and giving back in ways he had only dreamed of. Luke's laughter returned to the apartment, bright and unburdened, a soundtrack to their new life. Mark often remembered the cold, rainy evening on the bus and realized that moment of selflessness had rewritten the story of their lives. Before the story ends, I'd love for you to comment and share what act of kindness you've experienced or witnessed. It might inspire someone today. The greatest lesson Mark learned wasn't about money or recognition. It was about the power of small, courageous acts of kindness, the invisible threads that connect lives, and the unexpected ways the universe rewards those who give without expecting anything in return. On rainy nights, when the city seemed unforgiving, Mark would think of that bus ride and smile. He knew that sometimes, fate waits for a single moment of courage, a single gesture of selflessness, to change everything. And in giving up his seat, he had unknowingly given himself a future. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video by liking, sharing, and subscribing. it might reach someone who needs to believe in the power of kindness today.